Good morning to everyone again, the ones that I may not have seen earlier. It's a very, very tricky encounter, more especially in the final stages of the preseason training, where you are not too sure how far and how long the players can go. But we believe the team is prepared very well. They've been looking very good in all the friendlies that we played. We have devised some more build-up schemes, worked a little bit harder on our counter-pressing and our high press. We believe the team that we are playing against will come at us, because the good thing about a match like this, when two big teams are playing, you don't expect anyone to be sitting back, which will make the encounter a very interesting encounter. And if that is the case, I believe we will have a spectacle of a match, because both teams have reinforced, and they are looking forward towards seeing some of their new players. But the truth of the matter is, I'm confident that Sundowns, probably, I think it's 7 years now I've been here. We've struggled with this cup, and we are going all out to try and make sure that we finally become the winners of the cup. But that starts with the first step against Kaizer Chiefs. A very difficult encounter, considering the number of new players that they have brought in. Very difficult to profile who they are going to be using on this one, considering that in the Carling Black label they did not use some of these new signings. So one is looking forward to a very good encounter, I must say. The honest truth is that in the 7 years that I've been here, there are many scenarios that were presented, which is why we did not win this cup. One scenario, at some point, we had too many signings, and we tried to play them in the first match. I think we lost to Platinum Stars because the team had not gelled properly. Another scenario was when we were playing MTN8 at the same time as we were continuing, and in the latter stages of the Champions League. I remember when we lost to Vets in the final, we were unfortunate on that one, because we also had Zesco semi-final away from home. We had too many issues that were making the team not to be as fresh as one would have liked. And another scenario was when we bombed out because of Cape Town City, which I think on that one we were just unfortunate, because there were very serious wrong offside calls that were made in Cape Town, and that compromised us. But the truth of the matter is, it is one cup that in one way or the other we've always struggled to win over the past 7 years I've been here. And I hear the number of years that you are mentioning even before I was here, and that raises eyebrows. But it's a cup that we all know, and now we've been fighting for it. And I don't want to lie, even Coach Pitso has been trying his best to win this cup, but for whatever reason, it is one cup that has always been very tricky for us in many ways. But after a very long time, the team had a proper preseason this time around, and we are hoping that we will be able to stamp our authority from the beginning of the season. And that is just a hope, because at this stage, nothing has been proven. Based on the talk that he made in the media, that he's also coming out guns blazing. They want to reassume their status of being a big team in the country, because the transitional game and the counter-attacking game means you are not making a lot of initiatives to take the game to yourself. And we know for a fact he is very dangerous on transition. And already in my mind, I'm thinking of players like Sekota, like Keegan Dolly, but a very big contrast on Nukovic, because now they've got a striker that is a box striker, and if they want to play a counter-attacking game, then it means he must start from the halfway line to come out, and I don't think that is his strength. So that will be a bit of a compromise in terms of the structure, which is why I think they might want to come out and play in and around our box, which would make the contest very interesting. But you are very right. They've got very useful players on counter-attack, like the ones that I've mentioned. Kama also is a factor in that space. In the midfield, they've signed quite well. Nange has got the pass. The boy that was at Vets, Cole Alexander has got the pass as well. The Manqoba young boy of Chiefs has got the pass, but it's a big question as to who exactly are they going to use in that midfield, because they must also try to have players that can help them defensively in that space, which brings Katsande into the play, which brings Blom into the play, which brings even an element of Parker, who has done very well in the midfield, who can also play up top and be useful on counter-attacks. So it's going to be very interesting, because at this stage it's very difficult to know what will they do. But one thing we know is that Nukovic is a very important player for them, and he must play. And if they want to play a counter-attacking game, then Nukovic will forever be late into the box. But if they want to play with a proper build-up schemes, because Stuart can do that. He's a very good coach. I've got a lot of respect for him. So it's going to be interesting how he approaches the game. Yeah, in terms of knowing the coach and what is strongest, Stuart Baxter is one of the strongest coaches on set pieces. That is one area he will never compromise. He's very strong there. And he does have the ammunition for that type of a game in Nukovic, in Matoho, in Cardoso, Katsande, Mpahlele, if he's deciding to play him at right back. He's got quite a reasonable number of players that can help. Even Nange is a factor in that space, to be honest. And also, one of his major components in the game is a transitional game, which is counter-attacks, not necessarily a lot of break attacks, because his teams are not very strong in counter-pressing and pressing from the top, but they always give themselves that space behind your defense. And that is basically where you would expect him to be. But looking at the profile of the players that he have, and one in particular being Nukovic, that would not be as lethal when he has to play a counter-attacking game. He's more lethal when he's in and around the box a lot. And that is something that he will have to make very hard decisions, because for a proper counter-attacking game, a Kama, Keegan, Sekota combination would be a very dangerous combination, or a Parker, Kama, Sekota combination would be lethal on a counter-attacking game. But it has got some compromises defensively. It also has some compromises on set pieces, because it means they are losing one of their key players aerially. So it's a very interesting encounter, but we know for a fact that his main approach would be set pieces. He's very dangerous. Even on throw-ins, he's very dangerous. He's got a lot of schemes in that space. Also on transition. Then on open play, building the attack from the back and coming at us, he does have the players to do that in the Chiefs team that he has now. So it makes it a little bit tricky, even for him, to make a decision as to how do I want to play. Do I want to play as an underdog in this game, or do I want to play as a big team? Because Kaizer Chiefs is a very big team. And from the signings they've made, you can see that they want to reclaim that position as a big team. Thank you. Yeah, Nascimento, we don't have any issues with him, but it's a little bit tricky to sign him before we know that he has fully recovered. It's a little bit of a banana skin. So we are waiting probably till the last minute to make a call in that space, but we are optimistic that he is probably likely to come back earlier, because from the procedure that he's been doing and the rehab that he's been doing, he's looking very good. So we are optimistic that we might have him. Maybe let me start with the Gaston Sereno one. To be honest, when he came back from Uruguay, he looked very interested. He looked committed to play within the club. He looked serious about his training and all that. But unfortunately, he got a knock in his knee, which was a great one. He's back in training this week, but we have not really seen him. How is he going to come up? But the truth of the matter, in terms of the outlook, it does not look like he wants to leave. But I think the club is very clear also in that space that if he has to leave and people are still interested, they must just bring an offer to the table, and the club is very considerate of whatever that might happen, because the club does not want to kill Gaston's career. That is very important, from the chairman of the club to the board and everybody else around the club, even to us, the technical team. If he no longer wants to play for Sundowns and people are coming with good offers on the table, the club is willing to take them. But what is not looking good sometimes is when there is too much talk of what is likely to happen, but nothing really happens on the table. So at this stage, I think it's a wait-and-see situation, but in terms of the commitment, the boy looks good, and I don't have any issues with him, and the coaches are very happy with him, to be honest. Sfiso is a very talented footballer. Is going to be very important for Sundowns attack. Very, very important in the Sundowns attack, because offensively, everybody knows what he's capable of. Be it the opposition is compact, be it the opposition is stretched, is very useful. 1-against-1, he's got something to do. His crossing ability can improve a little bit, but he gets in those spaces and is very dangerous. He can even score goals in those channels, and he's got a very good cutback from him. Defensively, he's still finding it a little bit difficult, and I will tell you why, because many a times at Celtics he was playing as a wing-back. He was not playing as a fullback, where there are two centre-backs and he is expected to fulfill all the duties in the wide channel defensively, 1-against-1 against the opponent, and shifting from one side to the other, defending with an air if needs be, and the players are trying to attack the space in front of our defense. He's got a lot to learn in that space, but the possibilities of him learning that and coming out right are very high, because he's very intelligent and it's coachable. So we are optimistic that he's going to be very important for us. Even when we signed him, we knew we are looking for the future of Sundowns. Obviously, he will get game time this season. It does not mean we are looking for the future, but he's not going to play. But the competition is very rife between him, Lyle Lakay, and Divine Lunga. It's a very interesting competition, I must say. And it has awakened even Lyle Lakay. He's looking very good, and Divine, unfortunately, had a knock. He'll be joining the team this week, so we are not too sure where exactly he is. But I must say it's a very good addition to the club. Langaman has served Sundowns with a lot of dignity and honor. He has been very instrumental in our attacking play. He created a lot of very good moments for the team over the years. He has even scored some very crucial goals for us. And he's a very good professional, a very good boy, liked by probably everyone in the club. But it was always going to be difficult for us, if we are good human beings, to want to keep him in the club when he's not getting regular game time. When there are people that were knocking on the door asking for him to go and get regular game time. And it was a very fair decision, in my opinion, from the coaches, from the club in general, to make a call to say, because it is in his interest to continue playing regularly, let him go and play regularly, because last season he barely had a game, and the few games that he played, to be honest, he did not play bad, but unfortunately last season Lyle Lakay also had some very good moments. And on Hlompo is still with us. We love him. He's our legend. He's our captain. Had a very good pre-season training, good leadership. All is looking very positive. But the only part that is always going to be an issue again is the amount of games that he got last season compared to the number of games that he's likely to get this season. And that is a very serious catch-22 situation, because we like him, we are happy with him, but what if he does not want to play less games? Because the truth of the matter is, it's not about us only, it's also about him. If he wants to stay and help us in the change room, he's a very important player, so be it. But the truth of the matter is, at this stage, as a club, we are happy with him. And we are also wary of his wishes as well. So we will have to listen to him. Whatever comes from him, we will take it very seriously. But he has to be treated with a lot of respect, because he has served the club. He's probably one captain that has lifted more trophies than any other captain in this club. Thank you. We are in a very unfortunate situation. because we happen to play more matches than probably any other team in the league. But one big issue is the money, how to manage the squad. Last season we were a little bit fortunate because of a very rife COVID situation that forced us to play almost every member of the squad. But this season we think the situation is slightly getting better based on the tests that we have done over time. So we are beginning to think that it might be a little bit better, because sometimes it's not always proper to have a very big squad that you have maybe 8 or 9 or 10 players in training that are outside when you are doing your tactical work, and you must now compensate and try and bring everybody in and give everybody a chance. So that makes it very difficult for us. But as coaches, and what is happening at the moment, we are around 30 to 32 players that we have within the team, and possibility maybe of settling at 30 or 32, but at this stage it's a little bit difficult, because it's difficult to take very tough decisions, and COVID is also hovering around you, because the reason why even CAF allowed us to have about 40 players was based on the fact that from time to time you lose players. I remember last year when we went to play Golden Arrows, I think we were without 11 of our players in the game that we played away at Golden Arrows. And we, fortunately, because we had a big squad, we maneuvered and we were able to, within that space, have a team that would come back with a draw away from home. But under normal circumstances, to lose 11 of your regular players should cause a lot of problems. But on the day, we were fortunate to be able to come back with something, and it was the worst scenario that we had. Others, you'd have 5 out, 4 out, 3 out, something like that. And there was a stage of the slump where I think in 3 matches we were struggling with COVID at that time. But from then up until now, I think even the players, the way they handle themselves and the areas they find themselves in, and making sure that they prevent situations of them getting COVID, because we will never know about this thing. But we have done very well over probably the last 6 to 7 months in making sure that we don't have too many people that find themselves in that situation. Kutumela is a very good football player. That's the first thing that people must know, because I've had a lot of questions about Kutumela, and I rate him very highly. At Sundowns, he's got a very big influence that he's going to have as an offensive player, because Kutumela can play on the right, on the left, as a 9 and a 10. And for our pressing schemes, he's very good in that space. And Kutumela from NFD has always been very dangerous in front of goals. And we believe he will complement what we have. And he's got an element of directness in his play, very intense, very aggressive, to find spaces or to exploit spaces behind the defense. And he can also play between the lines as a 10. The good thing about him is that he's got a goal against a reinforced defense. He's got a goal behind a defense that defends very high, and that makes him a very important player. And he's got a goal even against a 1-against-1. So it is very important to look at such players with keen interest, and we've been following him for a very long time. And I don't want to lie to you, I'm very happy to have Kutumela within the team, and I'm sure he's going to help the club.